All right, g'day, hi, and welcome. So, I got an interesting video. Gonna kind of steal from somebody else. Um, and his video was entitled something along the lines of uh, the music, something like music industry, not music industry, but like the gear industry and what I've learned, blah, blah, blah. And whatever it was. Now, if you think I'm the type of guy who's just going to doppelgag somebody else's video and just steal their ideas just to make my own videos, just for the sake of making videos, if you think that's what you think I would be like. If you think that, well, hey, look, a treat. Anyway, so, but what the guy was getting at was buying gear and being kind of coaxed into buying gear through advertising and stuff like that. And how much do you really need to spend on a good guitar or a good bass or whatever? And I get every point he was making, but I'm also showing you some pretty extravagant guitars here, some over my head. Yeah, I know the room's a little bit cluttered. You get the idea. And that he was holding a Schecter, nice looking Schecter, and he was like, this guitar, he goes, plays as good as or better than some of my guitars that were like $2,500, $3,000, $5,000, whatever. And he goes, I can't, justify that kind of money on the instruments. Nothing against those instruments, but it was just like I wasn't getting anything more. And I've already made this point of, how much does a pro guitar cost? And you can find a pro guitar in, like, we're talking new. I'm not going to go anything used because, like, maybe you find some guy that's desperate to pay his rent. He sells you this $1,600 guitar for $300. You may not, yeah, you get the deal, but somebody else is probably not going to get that deal, right? My guitars, these were all bought new. I don't typically buy too many used guitars. Not because I have anything against used guitars. It's usually the guitars I want are never, I can never find them used, right? And I do like having new things, like I don't mind spending a little more. And I've done a good, like JS32 versus the Pro Mod RR5T, right? I did, and I explained the differences that you're gonna get. And whether that's the problem is they're both good guitars, right? Like that little JS32 Flying V there, if that's all the guitar you could ever afford in your life, like it's still pretty darn good. Is it as nice as this? No. Does it sound as good as this? Not quite as good as this. So you pay a lot more, but you get like that much more. But that much more might feel like a lot more in the sense of it plays better, it sounds better, whatever, the quality's a little bit better, whatever. It could be many things. So I'm one of those guys that I try to buy gear that I know I'm going to stick with. Now, for those of you who've been around, say, you were born before, say, the 1990s or 1980s, you probably understand that Mesa Boogie cab in the background is old as crap. Like that thing was bought November 11th, 1991. Yeah, I bought it on Remembrance Day in 1991 when I was like 15 or whatever I was, years old. So why do I still have it? Because I can't afford another cabinet? Well, I bought that guitar last year. I bought that guitar early this year. Bought the 7-string Holcomb guitar. Bought the bass this year. Bought this guitar last year, the 8-string. No, I could buy another cabinet if I wanted to put the money towards the cabinet. But I don't need to buy another cabinet. Why? Because yes, that was a $1,500 cabinet when it was new back in the 90s. And it's worth double that and every penny more. It is that good, right? It's a really, really, really good cabinet. right? I didn't buy 5 cheap cabinets to work my way up to that one. I just went out and bought exactly what I needed. So I didn't buy the Marshall. Why didn't I buy the Marshall? Because that was better. It was about the same price, maybe a little bit more, but it was worth it, right? So I got value for the money, right? But there's a catch. You can pay the same, like you can buy a Behringer, right, for $250 or $500. I don't know what they would be worth now, but last time I saw a Behringer 4x12, it was like the cabinet was like $300 or something like that, right? And you could put those, replace the speakers and put those nice Celestion black shadow 90-watt speakers in there, like it's in that, but you're not going to get that. You're going to get close. You'll get the speakers, but that cabinet, this cabinet, you put it up against even most modern cabinets, it kicks ass because it's that good. So is it worth $1,500? If it gives you the sound, I mean, been playing it since 1991, and I have yet to go into a music store and try a cabinet and that makes me go, wow, like this thing does. And I mean, you hook anything to this thing and it just makes it sound better. That's a 15-watt crate VTX amp, 100 and some odd bucks. Does the job, but that's a great little, that was probably the best practice amp back in 2003. That was probably the best practice amp you could get for 100 and some odd bucks. It even beat a lot of bigger amps. The Zoom pedal, not bad, under 100 bucks. Does the job. So you see where I'm going with this. It's not always about how much you spend. The guitars, yeah, the guitars are great. These guitars are phenomenal. The best playing guitar I pretty much ever played in my life is that SG3. Like that thing, whenever I've let anybody else play it, they give me this look like, but I thought Gibsons were supposed to suck. I say, yeah, it sucks to be you. The short scale length, the action is so fine on that. Don't get me wrong, like we're splitting hairs to say which guitar is better here. But but Gibson are super overpriced. $1,560 before tax. I think it was $1,800 all in. That's up there for 2006. That's up there in price. But it's not phenomenal. This guitar, came in just a little under $1,600. They're comparable. Two different animals, sure. I mean, this is modern sounding thrash metal guitar, rip your face off. That's, more of a vintage classic sound. And then, of course, this guitar, probably one of the best bangs for the buck a pro guitar player can get on the market. And that's this, the Mark Holcomb 6-string. Now, mind you, mine's set up for drop C. That's how they come. You can, ask the guitar shop to re-intonate it for something else, but I wanted it stuck in drop C because that's my designated drop tuning guitar, right? But the quality of that guitar is just phenomenal. $1,300 before tax, a little over $1,400 after. You're probably not going to find another guitar on the planet much better than that in its genre. Like if you're going for classic, you're going to go for the SG. If you're going for modern, you're going for these two guys, right? So we'll say you're looking for a modern sounding guitar with a bit of versatility. If that's all the guitar you'll ever buy, that's probably the most common sense guitar to buy. The neck on that thing is pretty similar to the SG in its C shape. It's a little longer scale, 25.5. But the thing about it is that there is no guitar under the price of this that's going to beat it. You know what I mean? Like that 20-degree fretboard, okay, that might not be everybody's cup of tea, but once you get used to it, this is a very addictive guitar. It is a player and a half. The wet sanded neck. You will probably not find a guitar under $5,000 with a wet sanded neck. I don't know if they use 3,000 or 10,000 grit on that, but it is the slippiest neck ever. It is the smoothest neck ever, even if it might not be necessarily the profile. Like Ibanez tend to have very, how am I doing for time here? Oh, not too bad. Ibanez tend to have very flat necks. The JS32s have very flat necks, even flatter than on the Pro models. But I can guarantee it, like that, like if that's the only guitar I ever have, like there's really nowhere up from there, other than maybe bells and whistles or something. You know what I mean? Okay, maybe you want a guitar with a Floyd, whatever, but you really don't get much more refinement than that. Like it's good as guitars can get. You're looking at them. So that brings me to part two.